Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute crochet top. It has these sideways cups, ties at the top, and it has a really pretty ruffly bottom. I've made this top a couple times in the Bernat velvet yarn. This color specifically is called Cranberry Cider in the crushed velvet. It's really pretty. But for today's purposes, I'm going to not use velvet yarn because it's really fuzzy and it's hard to see the stitches, and I want you guys to be able to tell what I'm doing in the tutorial, so I'll be using just regular cotton yarn. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for the tutorial, I'm going to be using this Lily Sugar and Cream cotton. It's a 408 yarn, and this color is called Purple Haze. You're also going to need a 5mm crochet hook. I'm using a 5mm with this yarn, and I also used a 5mm with the Bernat velvet. You're going to need some scissors and a yarn needle. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be making a size medium. I'm also going to have the row counts and stuff for all the other sizes down in the description. So we're going to start with our bra cups first, and I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm going to put it on my hook. Like I said, I'm making a size medium, so I'm going to chain 14. Alright, so after you've got your chain done, I'm going to go back on my chain and I'm going to start doing single crochets until I get to my last chain spot. Okay, so I just did all these single crochets. I have one chain left. In my last chain, I'm going to do 3 single crochets all in one spot. If you're a beginner to making cups, I would recommend marking your middle stitch. So I just did one. This is my second one, so that'll be the middle. You can put a stitch marker right here. I'm not going to just because I don't need one. And then I'll put my third one in the same spot. And that kind of worked me around in a half circle. And from there I'm going to continue crocheting down the other side of my chain. So the next one is going to go right here. Next one will be right here. And as you can see, I'm also crocheting over my end that I had from my initial slip stitch, so that I don't have to weave it in later. Alright, once you get down to the other side, it made kind of like a U shape. So we started here, we went up, we did 3 in the top, and we just came back down the other side. From here I'm going to turn my work. I personally do not do a chain 1 in between rows of single crochet. If you do that, go ahead and chain 1, but I am not going to. I'm going to start in my first single crochet, and we're just going to do another row of single crochets. I'm going to go all the way up until I reach the center of the 3 single crochets that I did in the top. You may have a stitch marker there, you may not. Once I get to that center stitch, I'm going to do 3 single crochets in that same spot. So that is 1, 2, and 3. You can go ahead and mark the center if you want to, and then we'll just keep continuing the row of single crochets down the other side. So there is the end of my second row. Every row from here on out is going to be exactly the same as that. So I'll just turn my work, start my next row of single crochets, go to the center, put 3 single crochets in the center, and continue down the other side. I'm making a size medium, so I'm going to do 14 rows in total. So starting at the beginning, counting all the way to the end, that's 14 rows. Alright, so whenever you are counting your rows, row 1, 3, 5, all the odd number rows, that's gonna be the wrong side. Every even numbered row, that'll be the right side. Whenever you're counting, you always start from the center and you count outward, because as you know, we've only done 3 rows. So I'm gonna start in the center, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. If for some reason you decided to count all the way across, you would actually count 6 rows instead of 3 rows, so make sure you're starting from the center and counting outward. I'm gonna go ahead and do my 7 rows, and then I will come back and we'll talk about the rest of the top. Okay, so I just finished all 14 rows. Here's my first cup, so I'm counting from the center, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So after you finish your first cup, go ahead and cut off the yarn, and then obviously you're going to have to make another one because you know you're gonna need 2. If your cup ends up being really pointy, the way that I help with that is that since we crocheted over the end, normally if I just pull on it, it helps round it out a lot. I don't know, a lot of people have had problems with pointy cups, and that's just what helps me personally. But after I give it a nice tug, make sure it's good and tight, I just snip that off because we don't need it anymore. So after you make the first cup, snip it off, we're gonna make the second cup. But once you're done with the second cup, do not cut your yarn off because we're just gonna keep crocheting there. Okay, so I just finished my second cup. Here's the first one. I have the yarn cut off. Here's my second one. My yarn is still attached because we're gonna continue from here. So I'm gonna take my cup, we're gonna turn it, and we're gonna start as if we're doing another row. So we're just gonna crochet all the way up. I'm gonna go until just before the middle stitch at the top. Alright, so this one is my top stitch for the cup. At this point, I'm going to grab my other cup. I'm going to make sure that they're facing the same way. So you see how the back of my stitches are facing outwards on this cup? I'm going to grab my other cup and turn it to where the back of my stitches are facing the same way. I'm going to connect the cups with one stitch. I'm going to go through the top stitch of this cup, and then I'm going to go through the same stitch on the other cup. So I have both of the stitches on my hook. At this point, I'm going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. So I just did a single crochet connecting both of those stitches, and we're just going to continue with single crochets down our other cup. So this is what it should look like. I'm just going to keep crocheting until I get to this corner here. Okay, so I have one stitch left. I'm going to do my last single crochet there, and then at this point we're actually going to start crocheting up and around the other sides of the cup. So in this corner I'm going to do another single crochet so that it turns, and I'm going to start single crocheting up the side. And there should be pretty easily accessible spots for you to crochet into, so I'm going to go there, 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 there. Just do the best that you can. Okay, so I just crocheted up the side. I have one spot left to go into. And then from here, this is where our straps are gonna come off. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do my straps right now. I'm going to chain just enough. I'm gonna have this top tie around the back of my neck, so this doesn't have to be a super long chain. I'll do it until about how long I think it should be, and then I'll tell you guys how long it is. I'll measure it. It's probably 2 feet and 2 inches long. You can make it however long you want, but that's just how long I'm going to make it. So after you've got your chain finished, we're actually going to turn back on our chain and start slip stitching down it. So I'm gonna go in the first loop as if I was gonna single crochet. I'm gonna yarn over, pull through, and just pull through again, and that's a slip stitch. We're gonna do that all the way down until we get back to the cup, and then we'll just continue our row of single crochets. Okay, so I just did slip stitches all the way back down. Here I am in my last chain, and then from there I'm going to do another single crochet in the last spot that we just single crocheted into. And then we're just gonna keep single crocheting down towards the center of the cups where they're connected. Alright, so I'm coming close to the center where they're connected, and I'm just going to crochet in every stitch. Once I get to the center, I'm going to try to crochet through those 2 stitches together like I did last time. You can see that. And then I'll just continue with the single crochets up the other side until we get to the corner, and we'll do the other strap. So this is how it should look in the center. Okay, so I just crocheted down here, came back up to the other corner. At this point we got to add in our other strap. So I'm going to do my last single crochet in my last stitch. And then I'm going to start chaining, and I'm just going to make this side exactly as long as we made the other side. After you've made your chain, go ahead and start slip stitching down it, just like we did on the other side. Alright, so I just finished that. I'm going to crochet into the same spot as my last single crochet, just like we did before. And then I'll continue with the single crochets down this side all the way until we get to this bottom corner here, and that's where we started going all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to go into my last space here, which is actually the first single crochet of this bottom row. And then at this point, I'm going to cut off my yarn. Every time I cut off my yarn, I just go ahead and pull through, tighten it down. So here's what we have so far. We have our 2 cups connected in the middle, and we have the 2 straps. Now we're gonna make the ruffly bottom. So I'm gonna turn this upside down, and I'm gonna be working across the bottom of my cups. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a slip knot. I'm gonna put it on my hook, tighten it down, and I'm gonna start a chain. So the length of this chain is going to be how much of the ruffly part extends and wraps around the sides of your body towards the back. You can make this chain as long or as short as you want. If you don't want the chain, you can actually not cut off your yarn and just start exactly right here. But generally, I just chain about 10. And then after I have chained 10, I connect it to my body. So I'm going to just put it into the first stitch here, yarn over and do a single crochet. So here's my chain 10, and here's where we connected it. So I'm just going to keep crocheting across the bottom until I get to the other side. Once I get to the other side, I'm going to chain 10 so that it matches up, and then we'll start doing the rest of the rows. Okay, so I'm all the way back to the other corner. I just did my last stitch, and I'm gonna chain 10 just like I said. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So see how that matches up? We have our first chain 10, single crocheted all the way across here, and then we have another chain 10. From here I'm gonna turn my work, and we're gonna start the ruffles. Whenever I do my ruffles, I always do double crochets. So I'm gonna chain 2, and then I'm gonna put my first double crochet into my 10th chain. And on the first row of double crochets, we're actually gonna be doing 2 double crochets in every stitch. So I'm gonna put another double crochet there. I'm going to go to the next stitch and put my 2 double crochets. That's 1, and do another one in the same spot. And we're just literally going to repeat that all the way across in every single stitch. Okay, so I just finished that first row. Here's what it looks like. Every row from here on out is just going to be regular double crochet rows because I have done enough increasing for the ruffles. So after you've done your first row with the increases in every stitch, you're going to turn your work, you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to put a double crochet in the first stitch, and then you're just going to double crochet all the way across like normal. So 1 stitch in every single spot. Alright, so you guys get the idea. I just did the second row until here, but every row from here on out is just going to be regular rows of double crochet, doing 1 double crochet in every stitch. I don't really have a set amount of rows that I do. I just continue adding double crochet rows until I like the length of the top. So that's what I'm going to tell you to do. Just keep adding rows until you like the length, and then come back and we will weave in the ends and then add in a little back tie strap. Alright guys, so I ended up doing 8 rows total. So here's kind of what it looks like. After you've done as many rows as you want, we're going to go ahead and cut off our yarn. Leave a good amount for you to weave in. It's probably like 5 inches or so. Pull through that last one again. Okay. I'm going to weave my ends in really quick, so I'm going to grab my yarn needle, put my end in there. And I just like to go down the side, and then I'll go under some of these double crochets here. You can weave in your ends any way that's the most comfortable for you. This is just how I do mine. So after that's done, our top is pretty much in one piece. All we have left is something that will connect the back together, and what I do for that is I just make a chain that we can loop around both ends and come back and tie together. So we're just going to do that really quick. You take my yarn, make a slip knot, throw that on my hook, tighten it down, and then I'm going to make a chain. The length is going to be dependent on what size you made, how wide you had your end pieces here. If they're wider, you obviously need a smaller tie piece. If they're shorter, you're going to need a longer tie piece. So what I like to do is I just like to lay out my top and kind of, I'll show you, but you just lay your strap on top of it and see how long you need it to be. Okay, so I'm just gonna like check this. So what I do is I take both ends, put them together. It's kind of hard to see because it's a multicolor yarn, but this is one back piece. This is my other back piece. So they're gonna loop through there. And I'm gonna look at my two ends and I'm gonna kind of determine if that is long enough to tie a bow with. And they're not, so I'm just going to do a little bit longer. Mine ended up being about 3.5 feet long. Like I said, the length will depend on your sizing. But after I have a good amount done, I'm going to slip stitch back just like we did on our straps. So I'll go through the loop, yarn over, pull through, pull through. I'm just going to do that all the way back down to the beginning. Okay, so I'm at my last chain. I'm going to slip stitch into that one. After you've gone all the way down to the end, you can cut off your yarn. And then we're going to tie our two pieces together a couple times to finish it off. After you've done that, I'm just gonna snip them off pretty close, but I did tie like 4 knots in it. After you have your strip, grab your top, make sure the back is facing you. I just realized this is the front, so I'm gonna flip it over. I know it's the back because these are the back of my stitches. These are the front of my stitches. And we're just gonna lace this through the top. So either where you have your first double crochet, your first chain 2, on this side it's a chain 2 spot. So I'll just kind of shove it up through there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, where our first double crochet was, so right here. And then this is how they will connect and tie together, so you can pull them as tight as you want. You can get them as loose as you need, and then you just tie it in a little bow. There you go. And we're finished. So I want to say thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more tutorials from me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want specific things, go ahead and put them in the comments and I will read those. But if you make this top, please tag me on social media. I would love to see it. All of my social media links are going to be in the description down below. That includes my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, whatever you want. I also live stream on Twitch and I just crochet and we listen to music and hang out, and it's a pretty fun time. So yeah, thank you again and have fun crocheting this project. Bye!